Warning, 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 warning. This is a emergency broadcast. Code Red, Code Red, Code Red, here we are. Pick up your iPads, your cell phones, and have me and listen to Uncle the Podcast. Watch out. If you're sitting down for this, or if you're standing up, you better get ready for this, because it's gonna hit the eardrums. Uncle the Podcast.
You are listening to Uncle the Broadcast. My name is Aaron. I'm the nephew-in-law, and here with me is the star of the show, Uncle.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. We are back on year 125 episode, and I believe we have JJ Mike on the line. New guest.
We do. Brand new guest, host of Parallax Views.
Parallax Views?
Yes, we have JG Michael. Welcome to the show.
Michael, welcome to the show.
What's up? What's up? Also, like I said, in the last hour, alternatives, which you can listen to at Zero Books.
Oh, you're a book man.
He is a book man. JG Michael.
My sidekick's a book man. He studies on reading.
Sometimes.
Sometimes he's actually reading at night.
I have to admit something, since this is my first time on Uncle, the broadcast, and I know Uncle is not going to like this, but I have never seen Top Gun.
You never saw Top Gun? You got to go from the beginning then. Now, wait a minute. You go straight to the beginning.
Top Gun from the top.
From the top. You can't go in if you haven't seen it.
No.
You have to see it from the top.
Got to
see that. But I found out something that isn't going to be 2020, and I was ready for this year to see it. But other guest, mention no name, he says, oh, it's 120. And here I thought it was 119 this coming year. And here we are waiting to listen to the new Top Gun, but it's not going to come until that 2020.
The initial release date was July 2019.
2019.
We got excited about that.
Yeah, that's what I got my hopes up to just get reviewed on the first batch and see.
Pushed it out a little on us, so we're upset. But JG, are you going to watch the original Top Gun?
Yeah, you have to see the beginning to go to where we're at.
Well, now I have to watch Top Gun since I've been on Uncle the Broadcast.
You gotta watch that first one. That first one will get you to understand what's coming in the future. That thing, man.
It's a crystal ball.
Yeah, that's what you should call a sidekick. Sidekick over here. It's like a crystal ball. Exactly.
That should be the subtitle of the movie. It should be Top Gun Crystal Ball.
Subject number one, and then you start from there. You got to go back to look at reviews like we haven't been yet.
We like to review,
but we review a lot. We review a lot of shows before we have a guest to talk about it.
JG, do you ever do any reviews of popular culture or reviews of anything really on any of your podcasts?
Well, the Alternatives podcast, we just recorded a show with Horror Vanguard, who they study and talk about horror movies from a left-wing perspective, and it gets really over-analytical, but we did a whole episode on horror movies, which I'm a horror movie buff, so that was a big thing for me. Uncle, you have a favorite horror movie?
Well, actually, come to horror movies, I do got one that I watched a couple of Fridays ago. Review of that one.
Oh, okay.
You know who it is. Your number.
13.
There you go.
That was the name. That was the movie, 13?
Friday the 13th.
Oh, Friday the 13th. Yes.
I love Friday the 13th.
What?
Jason Voorhees. I've loved Friday the 13th.
You do? Oh, so I saw part 1 and 2 and reviewed that one.
Oh, there you go.
So I reviewed that one. So when I was going about talking about reviews for a moment, when are they coming out with more? Well, let's see.
The Friday the 13th series?
Series.
Are there any in the pipeline, JG, that you know
do you know of?
I don't know if there's going to be another Friday the 13th. There's been probably 13 of them by now, maybe 14. I don't know. I lost count.
Yeah.
saw most of them, but I didn't understand if there would been a final one.
Yeah.
You know, because you know how they go with these spooky movies, these horror movies. That you have to have a punchline.
Mm.
And on that certain movie, I haven't seen the punchline to him. And he's walking around killing these people. And with a chop the neck off, chop the neck.
Yeah.
They're doing some action in mention no name here, just for a minute. They're doing something in the bedroom, and all of a sudden, here comes a knife, a machete, shoot!
Yeah.
Cut the damn head off.
That's pretty typical of those, yeah.
Man, that's terrible looking.
Yeah, because, like you said, there's a punchline, and it has to mean something.
Right, the punchline. There is no punchline on these movies.
JG, do
you think?
Do these
JG?
movies have some sort of greater meaning that a lot of people might be missing? What's going on with these?
Well, my friends at the Horror Vanguard, they'll probably do an episode on Friday the 13th. I'm not sure there's a deeper meaning. I always took Friday the 13th as being about a bunch of horny kids, and then the one kid who just isn't horny enough, so they're able to survive because they're not thinking about sex all the time. I think that's the moral of the story.
Yeah, because they all go to camp and they know what they do and this or that. It's ridiculous. I mean, they're trying to do something like that, and all of a sudden, this was it number 2? No, number 1.
The first one. Yeah.
They start playing Monopoly strip poker, taking clothes off. What kind of thing is something like that? That's embarrassing.
It sounds like a bad influence on the kids.
Yeah, that is.
That's why you don't. That's why you got to put them to bed before you watch those movies.
Yeah, those movies.
Uncle, did you know that Crystal Lake is up in the San Gabriel Mountains here nearby in Southern California?
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Because they kept saying Crystal Lake. Oh, and George says, "You're gonna get doomed. We're getting doomed. He's going to have some kind of thing." And then here comes this monster, this crazy guy.
Quick fun fact is that one of the Friday the 13th was actually filmed in New Jersey at a Boy Scout camp, which was just adjacent to a blind kids camp. So that's how I know that it was filmed there. Also, nice. Friday the 13th has been rebooted like many other horror franchises. So if one goes back in the history, you got to go way back. And, even into the strangeness of eventually it turning into Freddy versus Jason. I don't know if you guys remember all that stuff, too.
You forgot Jason X with where Jason goes into space and they have to fight him in space. He turns into a Power Ranger monster at the end.
There's that too. At one point, there was something they called the final chapter, but that was like part 5, so forget it.
Part 5, the one that Jason Voorhees is not actually the killer.
Well, also in part 1, Jason Voorhees is not
true.
the
the mother.
Mm-hmm. Wasn't acted in number 1 and 2.
Betsy Palmer. Betsy Palmer, famous actress from earlier years, ended up taking that job as the killer in the first movie.
Yeah,
and she was doing it on behalf of Jason, who had drowned in the. I know way too much about this. Sorry, guys. Figured I'd drop it in for context.
I remember that being one of the upsetting things when I first saw it when I was young. I'm like, wait a minute, you're telling me Jason's not the killer in this? I thought, because I knew Jason before going into the movie. I was like, what's this thing about his mom? I was kind of like upset about that.
Sure, it was actually on a couple of Fridays ago.
It must have been a Friday the 13th. Huh?
Yeah, it was. It was on the HBO.
Sure.
What we have on Showtime thing, and I just popped on it. It was.
I know the series can be kind of divisive. I have a friend that's a super horror aficionado, and he doesn't like it because he says it's basically just like a ripoff of Halloween. Do you have any thoughts on that, JG?
Oh yeah, that's.
I don't know. I like the old hack and slash movies. They're sort of the ones you can just watch and just shut your brain off and just watch them. I do have an interesting story that may be fun for your listeners. I used to frequent a lot of horror movie conventions. I even worked a few. So I've met a ton of actors. Heather Langenkamp, the girl from Nightmare on Elm Street. I got like free autographs from her working a con once. And I actually met Jason Voorhees, Kane Hodder. He's the guy who's played Jason the most times. And I was just walking around the convention hall, and he has his computer out, and he's like, "Look, this is my kid playing soccer." And then he points to me. And I don't know why he said this, but he just said, "Are you down with the clown?" And he points at me and screams, "Are you down with the clown?" I'm like, "What?" And he says to me, "Insane Clown Posse. I used to hang out with Insane Clown Posse last year at the Gathering of the Juggalos. You down with the clown? You down with Insane Clown Posse? You're a young dude. You're into Insane Clown Posse." And I'm like, what do I say? I mean, he's so big. He's like 6'4", and he's just built. And I'm like, if I say I'm not down with the clown, he's going to beat the crap out of me. So I was just like, yeah, I'm down with the clown. Yeah, Insane Clown Posse, yo.
How could you not say you're down to the clown? I mean, that's a big yes there. Oh my gosh! You know what's funny is the place I work at now. The guy who played Leatherface in Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2, in which Leatherface,
Johnson.
yeah, he used to work where I do. It was unfortunately he had left by the time I started working there. But yeah, he's had some funny stories about him.
Low Brown?
Yeah, exactly. And in that movie, he famously fights
Dennis
what's
Hopper.
Yes, Dennis Hopper.
Dennis
Yeah, they have a
Chainsaw
chainsaw
Duel.
fight.
It's one of the greatest things ever.
Oh,
Yeah.
yes. I saw that one, too.
Have you seen that one, Uncle?
Yes, I saw that one. He
What
started
happens?
coming up with the chainsaw. Yeah, I saw that one. That was on a Halloween, actually, day. I'm going, here we are talking Halloween, and
Yeah, they play
here
that.
they come out with these crazy movies.
Yeah. Hopper's classic. I mean, he's...
They start running around with these chainsaws now. All right, what are we going to do next? Cut down everything down.
Yeah. JG, I'll throw the same question to you that I already did. Like, what's the greater meaning? What's the greater meaning in Texas Chainsaw Massacre? Is there one there?
Well, Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2, I actually do think there's a greater meaning to that one.
What is that?
Well, it's so in that movie, the Chainsaw family gets rich from selling like human bodies as chili. So it's about like capitalism as ending in cannibalism. That's the metaphor, or at least that's what people like the Horror Vanguard would say. Another podcast people should definitely check out.
Well, that'll go back to the golden times when we watched golden movies.
Take us back.
Take us back like in the Halloween time. Boys and girls, these movies that we've watched, mainly, trying to get into Halloween to watch on some of these spooky things. And so we got all these crazy movies to listen to and understand. We got Michael walking around. Another one, Michael.
Yeah. Michael Myers, sure.
And there's another one.
Freddy, we talking about?
Oh, yeah, Freddy. That's another one.
Yeah.
One on Freddy. Never go to sleep.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you're in it.
That's trouble.
You're in the dream.
Oh, yeah.
It's crazy.
Dream Warriors.
That one, I got to say, is crazy.
Dream
You
Warriors
can't
has the best
sleep.
soundtrack.
You
Oh,
can't
yeah.
sleep. You can't sleep. Up all the time. That'd drive me crazy if I did something like
Uncle,
that.
do you remember the Dream Warriors song by Dokken, the hair metal song? We're the Dream Warriors. Remember that song from that movie?
Something like that. It was like a wrestling guy talking, yeah. Yeah, it's like that voice, yeah.
Yeah, definitely very similar to that. JG, any thoughts on that song?
JJ, that song.
Oh, I love that movie. And, just having a metal track. Dream Warriors. I was like, this is awesome. I love that movie. That's probably one of my favorites in the Freddy series. So, yeah, Dokken all the way.
Yeah, for sure. And the scary thing about Freddy is, he's got the scary backstory. They all have their backstory, but his is particularly frightening because he was a pedophile that was like a janitor at a school, right? And then and then I think the community found out what his deal was, and they murdered him, right? Is that correct?
Something, yeah, I believe so, wasn't it?
And then he comes back to haunt everybody. JG, am I right? Did I get anything wrong?
I think
yes, you're definitely right. You know, it's
right.
funny though, because every time I have a conversation about Freddy Krueger, you know, the actor who plays him was Robert Englund, and
Yes.
people always, when they talk about Robert Englund, they always bring up, you know, Freddy Krueger, and I'm always like, no. He should be most known for his portrayal as the goofy alien in V, the original miniseries.
I heard of that one. Yes, I saw the V. You know,
V
you
is
haven't
great.
seen the V. Yeah, I saw the V.
I never did watch it. I know the series. I've never seen it.
Yeah.
You know what? That would be right up your alley. That's where
Yeah.
David Icke got all his reptilian ideas. For all the conspiracy fans out there.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. You knew they came from somewhere. Yeah.
Right.
Didn't they redo V at least once? That's been redone, right?
Yeah. It's interesting. I've been trying to get in contact with someone involved with the original miniseries because they're trying to make a sequel to the original miniseries, and you know, they're going to make it real political because of the times we live in. So that'll be interesting if I can do that.
Oh yeah.
So what other work do you do beside the movies?
Well, the podcast covers pretty much everything. You know, all kinds of politics, journalism, media matters, just everything under the sun.
You had a devil worshiper on once, didn't you, JG?
Yeah.
I'm happy. I actually don't recall. I had Lucian Graves on from
Lucian
the
Graves.
Satanic Temple. He's. I haven't released that episode yet, but it's coming out. Him and Joseph Flatley, who has a new book out called Satan Goes to the Mind Control Convention. They both came on together, so people can look forward to that one. I've had a lot of people
Joseph
on.
Flatley. Yeah. Uncle, we've talked to Joseph. We've had him on this show.
Yeah. And so many shows.
Yeah, I
people,
know. It's hard to
I'm
remember.
really lost of who I've been listening to. I have to listen to people, but I don't. I can't put it.
He lives in Pittsburgh, so he's the guy that lives in Pennsylvania too. I think we were probably talked about the Amish while he was on. 'Cause we were talking about Pennsylvania.
Wait a minute. You was talking to him.
He's a writer. He wrote a
your
book.
First hour about the Irishman, and then they were going to talking about how they go to doctors. I remember that.
Yeah. That was
that.
the show.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
we
yeah.
know he's a friend. Joseph is a fun guy. Yeah.
I remember that.
But let's see here. You had like an internet dominatrix, right? Is that
Yes, that's one of the. I've gotten a lot of feedback for that episode, mostly positive. Yeah, Ciara Lynch. She's out of Portland. She's a very nice girl. It's weird because you wouldn't be able to tell that from the videos she does, which she was on Joe Rogan's show. That's how I found out about her, and then Christopher Ryan's podcast, and I was like, well, I think that something like this could get me a lot of listeners, right? Because it's controversial. Yeah. So she basically makes videos where she says mean things to men, and they pay her to like make fun of them. It's a weird kink.
I've got a new kick now on my broadcast. I'm starting to have a new kick.
What are we doing now?
Every new broadcast man, I want to spread he knows to know if he knows people to come to mine, and you're always welcome to come to mine again if you're welcome.
We're growing our social network.
So we want to get the new people to spread mine out with us.
Mm-hmm. We're building a community.
That's what exactly what I'm trying to say here.
I know.
Sidekick, you had your hour.
Oh, yeah.
I'm trying to talk to this man. So I wanted to know if you could spread your secrets out and bring them over to us.
Definitely. I know a few people that would love to come on.
Okay. Because that's my new kick now of trying to get a new guy that we had the first time he has been on, of course, be on a show, but like also get spread around.
Uncle, it's not what you know, it's who you know.
Well, yeah, I meant that. Who you know.
Is that right, JG? Is that at all correct, that phrase?
That is definitely true. I mean,
yeah.
One of the reasons I had Ciara Lynch on was because, I'm working up to get Joe Rogan, and I think we need to get Joe Rogan on the Uncle podcast, to be honest.
Get him a call.
Uncle, do you know who Joe Rogan is?
I had no idea.
Oh yeah.
What are we talking about, man? I don't even know what I'm talking.
He is a comedian, first of all. You might remember him for his role on the television sitcom News Radio.
I heard News Radio.
Yeah, he was a character on that. I want to say wasn't he like the like facilities manager or something at the radio station?
Yeah.
And then
Fear Factor.
Yeah, Fear Factor. He was.
Oh wait,
you know that show?
Fear Factor. I've heard of that one.
Thank you, JG.
Yes. That's the one I remember.
He's the host of that.
He is the host of that?
The host of Fear Factor has his own podcast.
I didn't know that.
And it has to be the biggest podcast out there, like the most famous, the most reviewed, the most everything. So it's huge. As far as podcast goes, it's like number one.
I've got some new guys, 2 guys at work about this past couple weeks ago that have finally listened to my broadcast. And a guy thinks I got a good kick, so he's starting to listen. And he says, boy, this Uncle the podcast you guys should listen to.
It's that easy.
Yeah. I mean, they're going nuts.
Well, how do you think Joe Rogan did it? He just made something and then told somebody that he knows, like, hey, I have this show. Why don't you give it a listen?
Yeah. Well,
he just happened to know quite a few people because people knew him.
You have to do them listeners, and you have to let them listen to your show. Now, only way to get people like this is to let them, pump it on, put on whatever the state is, put it on your phone, and go ahead. And there you go. Start reading and start listening, and boom, you got some new people. That's how you do it in this business.
Indeed.
Hey, I think we lost connection for a second. What did I miss?
Lost connected.
We were just talking about, going on about Joe Rogan and kind of, I think what we were doing was analyzing the ways in which he has been so successful.
Right.
And basically it comes down to he just did the show and he told a couple people, and because he's famous, he was able to tell more people. And we're essentially doing the same thing because we just tell people that we do our show.
Right.
So we're growing that way.
We're growing the process. Of course, I don't know about your business with your other sidekick.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, you got to get on him.
I will.
But I mean, just look. Here I am going crazy on a Friday night on my shows. Boy, I'm picking them up. Left and right here.
JG, do you have a set time for recording your shows, or you just do a podcast style, whatever is convenient?
I do whatever is convenient. I have a ton of shows coming up. I just interviewed Timothy Denevy, who is he authored a memoir of having ADHD, but he has a new book out called Freak Kingdom, which is about Hunter S. Thompson's manic 10-year crusade against fascism and how he ran for like a sheriff's office at one point in, I believe it was somewhere in California. So I have a lot of wild and crazy guests coming on.
Wow. That's
crazy.
So that guy wrote a book just about having ADHD. Is that the idea? I'm interested in that, actually.
Well, that's for his side, for his side of his show. No.
Well, I think everyone has ADHD anymore with all the, we're always in our iPhone. We're all, we have a news scroller everywhere. You have to read a million things when you're watching any type of, news broadcast. I think that's the real cause of ADHD. Oh, what do you think, Uncle?
That's true. That's true.
Do you agree?
You these dang brains that you're working with. Tom, you can't turn around. Somebody talk to somebody, right? Somebody talk to somebody. They don't listen to you. They do not listen to you.
You are correct.
I can give you an example.
Please do.
Your wife, for one.
Oh, gosh, we're going to lay into her now.
Yes, we are.
Okay. What'd you do wrong?
Mother-in-law want to have a conversation.
She wasn't listening.
And she couldn't even listen to her.
It was because
one
of the phone.
word, single thing she said. Because she's in that brain of hers.
It'll suck you right in there.
Yeah,
no
she
doubt
can
about
suck
it.
right
It sucks
into
you
it.
in.
I tell you.
It's
crazy.
It is crazy.
That's an example.
It's in the previous hour, JG and I were talking about transhumanists and the people that are really into the idea of technology, actually, and
cell phones.
Well, no. The idea that technology isn't making us worse but making us better. Is that correct, Uncle?
No, you talk about better. That not even close. It gets worse. So as you talk to somebody, here you are having a conversation with somebody, and boom, You lose it. You'll completely lose it.
Doesn't sound like progress to me.
No, it isn't. You got that brain on your head. You're looking at that all the time. What the heck did you say? I don't know.
JG, do you find yourself in these situations in everyday life?
What do you mean? With technology? I mean, most of the work I do is social media related for Zero Books. So definitely, I'm like way too connected to technology, and I kind of loathe it.
In books, it's okay because you're learning something.
Mm-hmm.
I'm talking about these crazy cell phones.
Well, yeah, we're all talking about. I mean, for what it's worth, I mean, this is a situation we're all in.
Well, I know.
Everybody has
this
a phone
is the
now.
problem.
We got to figure this out, Uncle. We got to do something about this.
The only way to do it, everybody drop their cell phones.
We should
have their brains back in their heads.
Maybe that could be like a campaign we do. Like, okay, on this day and time, we're all gonna drop our cell phones simultaneously. And we'll call it like some flashy name like the Great Drop or something.
This guy here, sidekick here, this guy here, they didn't even want one. And here he's got one.
It was thrust upon me.
Dude, that's the problem.
I was force-fed that thing.
Yeah.
You guys are in California, right?
Correct.
Yep, Southern California.
Didn't they legalized marijuana there recently, didn't they? Like last year?
Oh, yeah, you're getting into something interesting.
Is that bringing the people together a little bit? Getting them away from their cell phones? They're smoking a joint, singing Kumbaya?
Yeah, that you got something there. You got something there. I just realized that is a very good operation there, JJ. Very good. I didn't think of that until you just said that.
Is cannabis a good way of bringing people together, Uncle?
Yeah. Have some smoke. Drop the cell phone, have some smoke.
What?
For Pete's sakes, relax yourselves. Get a stupid cell phone home and have a smoke. Or one of those beer things. Or the
have a beer while you're
No, not a honey beer. Chili beer.
You're talking about the candies like the gummy bears.
Gummy beer.
That are infused with cannabis.
Gummy beer.
Yeah. There's all sorts of little...
Used any of them.
All sorts of edibles, as they call them.
Those things.
Those
things.
I
might relax one tonight. I forgot I even had them.
You got some gummy bears sitting around here somewhere.
Downstairs.
I think it's time to relax here.
I am. That's the only way I can relax.
Everybody get together.
Things. Relax yourself.
Well, that's what life's about. Getting together. I was going to ask. So the marijuana legalization in California, I was actually there when it happened. So, I was visiting some friends doing some work down there in California, specifically L.A. And, I had people coming up to me the day it was legalized saying, do you know where I can get a joint at? And I was like, no, dude, I'm just here visiting. But how has the legalization thing worked there? Because I'm in Pittsburgh, and we have a huge problem right now with opioids. Not to get all dark, but I kind of wish we had more marijuana dispensaries instead of the opioid crisis.
Yeah, well, of course, back in PA, it's hard enough to get your hands on a beer. That's been a difficult thing from the start, but it's a slow rolling thing, of course, right, Uncle? I mean, it's not like there are these dispensaries on every single corner.
Well, it
takes time.
Actually, they legal this stuff for a purpose.
What is that? What's the reason?
Because people are like helping them get them better in the hospital.
Oh yeah, a medical
problem.
Oh, of course.
But here it is. They legalized that, so now.
But now it
can be shown in public where policemen, for example, don't say, "Hey, you can't hide that." We can have it because it's legal now.
It's been.
This is the point.
The medical usage, it's been legal for a long time.
But what gets me is these policemen finally don't have to hide anything.
Yeah, they don't have to make all those arrests.
Right. So they don't have to go crazy.
Should be a real load off their shoulders.
Right. So this has been going crazy. Haven't been arrested. And since this hasn't been legalized. You should have seen them. Hide him and put him on. Oh, he's a little bit of a pot. Oh, watch out. Might have to get a pot. Or might have a cop come. You know, you don't have this problem anymore.
Don't have to be nervous about it.
Yeah, now. That's the point I'm
Although I've heard some folks throw out the idea that now, as with driving under influence with alcohol, the same thing is starting to be floated, the idea with cannabis usage too, that you could, if you're caught driving under influence, you could be brought into the legal system that way.
Well,
so that's one of the potential
that's, of course, a complete different thing. You're talking now drinking.
No. I'm talking about if you have used cannabis and then you have it in your system, it's marijuana. If you used it and then you're driving and then they pull you over and they test you positive for using it, then you can get in trouble in the same exact way that you do for driving under the influence of alcohol.
I didn't know
they're not able to measure it, right? You know, like they measure your alcohol content.
Now.
They can't do that for weed.
There's no way to do that now.
There isn't. No, I'm a little confused.
I don't even know. I
didn't think so.
What you're saying is, sidekick, I'm a little confused what you're getting into. Because here we are talking about pot and all these other things and legalized beer things. And now he's talking about this. And I'm completely lost when he said that. Because I didn't know what the heck you were into when you were talking about that.
Yeah.
I never tried that.
Well, all I know is that JG is a long way away from the cannabis distributor being available somewhere in Pittsburgh to you. Don't you think, JG?
Well, how far is he from there?
Yeah. Unfortunately, yes.
How far are you from there?
Well, you're as you're saying, you're in Pittsburgh. I don't think I had realized that you're in Pittsburgh. That's cool. Like a fellow PA guy. That's always good.
Well, where how far is that in from there? Where's that?
How far from? Wait a minute.
What you were talking about? From that distance, you were talking about legalized or not legalized.
Well, you know, he's on the other side of the country from California, where we are now.
Whoa.
He's in the state of Pennsylvania, where I was.
With your parents.
Yeah, I was created there.
Yeah, it was your parents.
It's from whence I sprung, from the state of Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
Central Pennsylvania. So.
Yeah, of course, Philly fans.
Are you originally from Pennsylvania, JG?
Yeah.
Pittsburgh, born and raised, and I think I'm the only person in this city that doesn't religiously watch Steelers. You know, not a football person.
Yeah.
Hockey, though. Penguins. Go Penguins.
Nice.
Penguin?
You like hockey, huh, Uncle?
I'll tell you something here now.
Oh, gosh.
I think I'm going to get off of football because of the problem we had in the Super Bowl. I've said that, and I meant it.
You're done.
Bad, stupid New England Patriots.
You don't want to watch them.
I don't want to watch them. I watch hockey like he is.
Mm-hmm.
Any other sport but that.
We're sick of seeing the same thing.
Same darn team in it. I can't stand that.
Uncle, what do you think of Pittsburgh Steelers' terrible towel? Do you have any thoughts on that?
No, that's a regular thing.
They swing it around their head in the stadium.
Yeah, run around the same. They had some of the Rams said the same thing, but they couldn't do any running.
Yeah.
How many times have... Sorry, Uncle.
Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, how many times have the Patriots, been in the Super Bowl at this point?
That's the question I'm getting to.
Do you know the numbers, Uncle?
Let's see.
I don't know the exact. I want to.
1, 2.
I want to say this is like
3, 4, 5.
I think
6,
this is the seventh Super Bowl that Brady's won. It's either the 6th or 7th that they've won.
I believe it was 7 that they won,
and they've lost at least 2.
At least, yeah, you're right. At least 2.
Have they lost twice?
And the last one they won. The following one they lost against Philadelphia.
Yeah, they just lost past year. Yeah. And this goes back from like 2001, I believe.
So it's 7-2. So figure they lost only 2 out of the advantage of their 7 Super Bowls.
Yeah, so they've been there 9 times.
At least 9. That's exactly. I
maybe
think that's
more.
what they were mentioning there.
Too many times. That's all you got to know, really.
Too many times. It's just ridiculous.
Too many.
So I got to ask. Do you guys ever think that, like, maybe the teams like the Patriots pay off the refs to make a few bad calls here and there, help them win the game?
Oh yeah. Unless the mafia gets involved.
Then it gets a little trickier, a little more complex.
Mafia gets involved, it's all over. I mean, let's pay these guys off to let this team win. Oh, this and that. It's no contest if you want us. But I got to say, this first quarter of this series was good. It was a defensive stop, defensive game. But after that, completely gone.
You don't have Lefty Marciano on the sideline deflating the footballs.
Right. Him doing that stuff, Sean. Hey, where'd the football go? Oh, it's flat. You're fine. You can't have another football. Boy, that was good though. I like that when he got fined.
Yeah, there needs to be in podcasting an intersection of true crime and NFL football, because clearly we can see where that connection can be made.
Right. So this is crazy. It's just absolutely dumb. Well, I sure hope, even though I'm not going to watch it anymore, I hope New England doesn't even get close to it next year.
Let's hope.
That's all.
JG, anything else interesting happening in Pittsburgh right now? I'm just interested to talk about Pittsburgh.
Yeah, because that's where he's from. He's asking.
What's going on?
I don't know. It's real quiet over here, man. Like not much goes on. We ain't like a New York or an LA. We're pretty small, you know. It's down to earth here, you know.
Cool. I can see that happening because when I visit his parents, it is quiet.
Oh yeah.
I mean, man, it's like a pin drop. What are you laughing at? It is like a pin drop there. There ain't nothing right at this place over here.
Some people used to the Southern California life might be apt to call it boring.
Boring? This place? Huh. Come visit and see.
Well, I'm used to it. I was born here. So I like it.
I know, but I'm talking about these other people on the podcast. On my podcast. Come visit California.
Take me to Colonel Denning State Park.
And you'll see what we're talking about here.
I'll just go walk a nature trail. I'm fine.
Well,
not everybody's like that, Uncle. It's back to the brains again.
Right, back to those
These brains have changed us.
Yeah, completely. Yeah.
Oh, my gosh. JG, do you have any information on the brains being cell phones and technology that you think Uncle might like to know?
Yeah. Well,
I missed that last part.
Just any sort of stuff you think Uncle might not know, or any of us might not know, any sort of interesting factoids you might know about cell phones, technology, and what it's doing to us, maybe with our social interaction and that sort of thing.
Well, I can say this much, with all this tech stuff and running a podcast, if you can't get your podcast on like every single podcatcher, it's ridiculous. Like now you have to have it on iTunes and you have to have it on Stitcher and Podcast Republic. I just can't keep up anymore. You guys have that issue?
Yeah, we have it. Just what you mentioned. That's what we have them on. Exactly.
We're on more than one.
Exactly on that's what you mentioned, plus a couple of new ones that we're on.
Is it important that we do that, Uncle, and we get every single one that we can?
Try to get more people on Better Mortals podcast to get more contact on people.
Basically,
and we'll get something like over here. Nah. Oh, he's over here. Nah. He's over there. Oh, it's over here. You got so many that actually the customer can choose from.
Exactly. The way that people listen to the podcast is like that.
So they can choose. Okay, we can put this or that or this or this thing on, And I think where JJ's coming from is what he's trying to get to. Right,
not this,
JJ?
but that.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly. I know, because that's where he was going with it.
Is that where you were going?
Yeah, that's
yeah.
where he's going.
I just have trouble putting it on all the different things. I don't even know how to get my podcast on Stitcher. Everyone tells me I need to do that.
We got ours on Stitcher.
Hey, you guys are ahead of me. Dang.
Yeah, we got on Stitcher.
I have trouble tracking how.
Pop on Stitcher, you can hear us.
I don't know how popular it is. It's got to be pretty big. It's hard to judge, but I
judge on Stitcher.
Yeah, like how many people are doing this app or that app or the other one?
Well, you can't now because we're back to this square one.
We are.
We're on a show where they don't see our faces.
Is that good or bad?
Better in the case of trying to. Okay, you're talking about a radio show,
but
we're all on the radio show right now.
We've done the live YouTube videos, Uncle. That was our face on there.
Well, that is the only time and only time we could see our faces.
We could do that. We could do that again if we choose.
Well, if we could do that, let's put ourselves on faces. Okay, these are us people talking to you people on talk shows, so we can see who the heck the faces are. Fact, you also got to get my new fella here. I have to tell you, the new Levolution. You've got to listen to him. I do every single year. I've done them the last year.
A special for New Year's.
Special for New Year's.
We did a special live show.
You can watch that, and you'll even see us.
Have you played around with the live streaming video at all, JG? Have you done that?
No, I know a few people that have. One of my podcasting friends who you may have to get on at some point, Patrick Farnsworth, he has a podcast called Last Born in the Wilderness, which is sort of about getting back in contact with nature, a little bit hippie stuff, but he does a lot of live streaming, YouTube broadcasts. I'm told that I need to go there too. Have you guys thought about doing that?
Well, we have, and that Uncle was referring to the New Year's special. That's when we really did it. We did a couple of shows testing before that, but we did a whole 4-hour show.
We did it's actually on there. That if you ever pop
go
me
back
on
and watch to it,
and go back to watch it, you'll get to see us in the faces.
So we were playing around with that
on that thing, on the New Year's thing. I mean, because that's the only time actually that we really shown our faces, other than trying to be live.
We actually have an Instagram account connected.
Well, yeah,
to this.
Instagram account.
So we do we show up on that from time to time.
Yeah, but where's our? Oh, you mean on the face? Yeah, we got that too. Yeah, I forgot about that.
When I'm not posting pictures of cardboard boxes. In between the pictures of cardboard boxes and cacti, I put a picture of Uncle on there, or myself sometimes.
He's put on his back screen with these cacti, with all these trees and stuff. He's popping them on. You can see that.
I'm a plant enthusiast.
Planning, trying to do all this stuff. And here we are trying to talk about this broadcast. And he's yapping out there in the backyard playing with his, what do you call them things?
Uncle, people want to see that on Instagram.
What?
Plants.
You want to see Instagram plants?
Yeah.
What about people?
Well, now,
here we are talking, and we're trying to have this conversation.
JG, do you have thoughts on Instagram? Good, bad, ugly?
I have never used Instagram. I've never used Tinder. In a lot of ways, I am like a Luddite. I'm not the most tech savvy person, especially for my age group. I'm just like, I don't want to use this Tinder stuff and this Instagram, and it's all too much. I sound like an old man now. Dang.
So he doesn't. So you're saying then, JJ, you're saying that you don't like any of this kind of stuff, more or less, because it's come to the conclusion. He doesn't like what you like.
Oh, I love it. I can't get enough.
He don't like what you don't like. See, this is what I'm talking about. Other people likes other things to talk.
JG, everybody likes it. Why can't you?
Yeah, well.
I mean, it's not that I don't like it. I just I just can't keep up with all of it. Just can't keep up with the technological change. I'm very maladaptive like that.
I'm back and forth. I got so many damn things that I've got. I can't even listen to them all. I'm completely shut down of listening to any of mine because I got so many. I've always gave them to my customers to listen to.
I'll say this: you seem to do pretty good at Twitter, JJ.
Yeah,
you're on
Twitter
there.
Pretty good.
I am good with Twitter. I also wanted to mention something. You asked me earlier if I had a Satan guy on. And it blanked out on me at the time. I had a guy on, Nicholas Schreck. And the reason I was confused was because Nicholas went from being a Satanist and now he is a Buddhist. So I got to ask, Uncle, what do you think of Buddha, the big Buddha?
The only thing I think of Buddha is now we're back to stage one. Religion. That's what I think of Buddha. Because it's right away, they go right into religion. That Buddhist stuff.
He's the embodiment of religion in many ways.
Bottom line. Yeah. No, that isn't.
He's a fun guy. He likes to laugh.
Well, that's it. I mean, I really got into people sometimes too. On my new evolution thing I had, people were talking and I was listening to some of those people, they actually talking about that stuff.
I'll bet Buddha would have watched
Buddha.
New Year's Revolution and laughed at it.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It was some of that people. I don't know if you heard them. And I
You're
heard
talking about Buddhists?
Buddhists.
So we have Buddhist listeners now.
We have Buddhist listeners.
There you
I've been
go.
listening to these things.
Yeah,
So-
we have a very diverse listener audience there. Yeah.
Right. You know?
So who are some guests you guys are trying to get on? You know, I was thinking about it the whole time here. You know who I'd like to hear on the Uncle podcast is Abby Martin. She's sort of in your neck of the woods, California area.
She is.
Yeah, she does live out in Los Angeles, if I'm not mistaken. She was actually just on Tim Heidecker's show.
All
Office
right,
hours.
Yeah, I love that show.
my backup man. You heard backup man. You heard him in there.
We need to try to get Abby Martin on the show.
No. Backup man, not you.
Oh,
Backup
we're
man.
talking about JG?
No.
No, he means me.
I'm a reporter.
Oh,
That's you.
okay, sorry.
You know, when you get your stuff organized,
Well,
I'm giving him a break.
well, look, Abby Martin, I'm going to tell you off the
Yeah.
bat, is somebody I've been trying to get for a couple
We're
of
gonna
years.
get her. We're gonna get her.
You
I'm gonna
guys
work
get
on
her,
that.
you'll beat me to it.
Right. So
Everyone's
we're gonna
racing to get Abby Martin on.
Oh yes, we are. And now that you mentioned the subject, you got the subject.
Uncle,
rolling.
we were beat to it by a man named DJ Doug Pound, for goodness sake.
Who's he?
He's on
Doug
that
Pound.
He's on that office hours show. He's one of the
He's got her.
she was on his show already.
When now you tell me, sidekick?
We're behind the curve.
We got to start catching up.
I know.
We're not doing much catching up here.
We got a lot of ground to make up.
There's
catching
a
up
lot
to
of
this,
it coming.
people,
Since
Uncle.
I only do it one time a week, this broadcast, and we got this, and we're hearing about these other people that somebody jumped to it. And we lost track of it because we're not on top of it.
We got to spread our Patreon reach, maybe.
Yeah, that's it.
That'll get us
Patreon
going.
reach.
That'll get us going.
Get going with that. We could ask that lady.
We could.
Ask her for that. What you said.
That's what we'll do.
No.
JG, do you have a
JG,
Patreon now?
You got a Patreon?
I recently started a Patreon. I'm trying to figure out what episodes to edit and put up there because, you know, I'm a person, I actually like giving out free content. But most of the stuff I do is podcast editing. So I do this stuff for a living at this point. And, you know, I want to give out the free content mostly, but then I have to post some stuff just for the Patreons. I'm trying to figure out what do I post just for the Patreons and what do I just give out for free. It's a hassle.
Penny a day. It's a penny a day. Penny on.
That's
Penny
just
check.
ask for a penny.
A penny a day.
I think that's not asking much because it seems like you get every single listener just to sign up.
Sign
it's only
up.
a penny.
Boom. I bet you'll get about 100 people for a penny a day, depending on what, JJ, you're trying to do.
Can you imagine if Joe Rogan was making a penny a day
Right. That's what I'm
off
saying.
of all of his listeners?
This is what I'm talking
Still
about.
be rich, though.
Hey! Got it on the head. What?
He'd go from being rich to astronomically rich.
Whoa. He's too rich?
He would be if he started doing that Patreon campaign.
Whoa. There is. You was talking about other guests there, JJ. There is one I really would like to get to. And it's this guy I was listening to a while back before I even started. He's a wrestler. And I listened to him.
Oh, Stone Cold
Wrestler?
Steve Austin.
David Code, Steve Austin.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah. I'm a huge
he
wrestling
actually
fan.
has one.
I like Stone Cold's podcast. It's good.
But I've sort of lost it for some reason. I don't
Oh,
know
it's
where.
not on your phone anymore.
It's not on my phone anymore, and I used to have it on my phone. I don't know.
I mean, without a doubt, Stone Cold Steve Austin is an engaging and
'Cause
charismatic guy.
he's got a podcast.
Yeah.
I've heard
Oh,
it.
of course he does.
You,
Yeah.
you hear that? You heard him?
Yes, I've listened to his podcast.
I've
before.
heard it at least once or twice
Yeah.
before I even started doing this.
That was one of the ones I showed you as kind of inspiration to start doing us. Like, hey, look,
Oh well, yeah.
this is what Steve Austin's done.
I know.
Imagine what we could do.
But that might have been
Some
what got me
inspirational
going to
thing
do
we did
that.
there.
So if we could get one for him, oh boy, we would be making something out of something.
Well, WrestleMania is coming up soon, so that could
It
be
is?
the time to get him.
It is coming up.
I
Yeah,
did not
April,
know.
I think. Yeah, April 1st.
April 1st. Get that date down. Put it on the paper.
It's-
Where's your note? You don't got your note.
I'm committing it to memory.
Brain?
It's a mental note, Uncle.
Oh, you better get on it because we're going to get on that.
This brain is sharp.
Yeah,
I never forget anything.
Well, let's get that brain working on him, trying to get him to get his attention. And that's the only way to get these guys. And you got these wrestlers, and they actually use a broadcast. Oh man, got it, Chuck?
I think we all have it here.
I hear you, Uncle. I hear you.
Well, I wanted to add something in here just for the end because, I'm always surprised by what episodes of mine get popular. Like, I think my second most download episode is that as you mentioned, the internet dominatrix, Ciara Lynch. And then I had this episode in August with Steve Alton. And Steve Alton, he wrote the novel about this giant shark, and the novel's called Meg. And I literally got him on right when the movie of Meg was coming out. It was a big, huge blockbuster. Jason Statham versus a giant megalodon shark, and no one listened to my episode of that. And I'm amazed at what people do and don't listen to.
Yeah. It's so hard to try to track that kind of thing. Yeah, you think you've struck gold, and then no, it's just a piece of coal, and then another one is a big sleeper that you didn't realize.
We had to put his on my phone too now.
Oh yeah, Uncle is very excited about listening to your podcast. We're going to put him in his queue on his podcast tab.
Oh boy, and I'll give you mine to put on yours.
But before we go, JG, why don't you again tell the audience about your stuff and how they can find it?
Well, I'm on Podbean, so if you just type in Parallax Views on Google, that'll be like the first thing that comes up. And then also go to Zero Books, because that's where I host the Alternatives podcast with C. Derek Varn. I'm a very busy man. I do a ton of podcasts. Next week, I'm going to be appearing on a show with Joseph Flatley. That show's called Giving the Mic to the Wrong Person. And it should be a lot of fun. So let's all keep networking. I think, we need to all come together and create a podcasting empire.
Yeah.
Well, if we could do that, we'll really make a good business running around here talking to people. Oh, you got this guy talking. Oh, you got that guy talking. Oh, wait, all of them going to be listened to.
Uncle, I'll say this real quickly. That
The
as
grand
of late,
podcast Borg of the future.
yeah,
Borg board. Who's he?
he is us.
Oh.
We are Legion, Uncle.
Oh, we're Legion.
You in on this or
we're
what?
Legion of Doom.
Yeah.
We're Legion of Doom. Ladies and gentlemen, you're listening to my sidekick, my act show, and is talking this kind of talk.
That makes you Uncle of Borg.
Yeah, it's him.
There you go.
Yeah, we're doing all that stuff clearly.
I can see that. Yes, I can.
Anybody from the outside looking in can see that happening.
Right now,
Us from the inside out, sometimes we forget that that's what's happening.
we're in this little box room talking to people on the line, wherever, and have saw us, some of them saw us on a human revolution thing. So they know who the heck we are. That's the thing I like about them, because now they know who we are.
Well, yeah, JG was right too. There's a network we are creating. I mean, we all know Joseph Flatley. We know each other now. We know JG and Pierce, and even I know Robbie Martin certainly is sort of in the same circle, and so and even the degrees of separation. I mean, it's not far before you get to like the Tim Heideckers and the Joe Rogans, and they're right there, and we're next to them, and we're doing our thing. We're doing just fine.
Well, I'm not saying we're not doing so fine. We're doing.
Go ahead, JG.
I didn't interrupt. I was going to say, you know what I want to hear is I want to hear the biggest debate of all time. I want to hear Uncle versus Ben Shapiro.
Who's he?
He's the man you need to talk to.
How does one describe Ben Shapiro? He's a very mean, angry little man.
I would love to have what you're mentioning, these people. But first of all, and most of all, we have to do some fixing. And we know who we're talking about.
That's just technical things.
Technical things, they got to be fixed.
It's just basically you get the ironing board out.
How do we get to these people without that, is what I'm saying.
Uncle, we're doing it as we speak.
so we can.
We
get
just
to
had
the-
JG Michael on the show. For goodness sake, Uncle.
Well, I
What do you
know
think
that.
we're doing here?
Well, I know that.
We're building up.
Well, I'm not complaining about that. I'm talking about he's mentioning all these excellent stars that we want to see in the future. Is what he's saying.
Uncle, I'm
Jake.
trying to tell you 7 degrees of Kevin Bacon's become
Kevin
2
Bacon.
degrees of DJ Doug Pound.
Oh, Doug Pound.
Okay?
Yeah.
So it's a new world. It's a podcaster's world. We're doing just fine. We're sitting pretty.
I'm
I've even been on
though.
Twitter trying to recruit guests that you guys aren't thinking of. And Aaron knows that, and I think you saw it earlier today with the spooky girls over there. I got to tell you, that's
Who the heck
that's
you
a pretty good
talking
one.
about?
Yeah,
Just more guests, Uncle.
Well, bring them out then. Bring them out, especially if they're women. I'll get into these women talk.
we need the woman's perspective.
Yeah, I want to have some women to talk at this moment.
It's nice. It's a nice change of pace. You end up talking to a lot of men doing this, but it's nice. Anything different's always good. That's what
I know,
say.
but
I got a
have you
recommendation.
noticed?
Yes. What's the recommendation?
I was gonna say one of the early guests I had on was this beautiful woman, Jenny Ashford. She does graphic art, but she's also a paranormal investigator and a true crime writer. I think she would fit right in on Uncle the Podcast.
Come to mention something now, fellas. We've get more of these women on, and you want to see how I will talk? You haven't heard nothing yet. Wait to get these women on, and you'll see.
Yeah.
Of course, you know we have the old one that I stole from Ben over here. He knows who he's talking about. She got on me case real quick.
Yeah.
You know who I'm talking about.
So many
Sorry,
great
kid.
guests.
Well,
Sunshine.
that I'm not saying. I'm not censoring the name.
Yeah.
But I'm
Okay,
just-
we won't mention it. Never mind.
Uncle,
I noticed when you put a woman on the podcast, I've gotten a lot more listeners on the ones where I've had a female guest on. Don't know why that is.
That's my point. Hey, he's finally figuring it out. This guest guy over
makes
here.
sense. Makes sense.
This is what I'm
Perfect
trying
sense.
to get to.
We're doing it.
Whoa,
Uncle.
we're getting there.
It's happening, Uncle.
It's
this
happening.
is this. I'd say this is the end of the show. We need
End
to
of the show. Well,
I
we just
think.
getting rolling.
It seems like we
I'm
just
getting-
started.
I just getting rolling.
How'd this
can it
happen?
be the end of the show?
I don't know.
I could go another hour here.
Why did this happen
Hey.
this way?
Chuck, can we go another hour here? I would like to get another hour going with this guy.
I'll say this. It's late on the East Coast for both JG and Chuck. They probably got to go to bed.
Bed?
Yeah,
Oh.
so early for us. We forget about these things.
Okay.
3 hour
Sad
difference.
now with things. A pain in the voice.
Uncle, what's our website?
UnclePodcast.com.
Yes.
We're
We're on Twitter,
Instagram,
Instagram.
and
That's about it, really. now.
Squint.
Snapchat.
Snapchat.
That
no.
doesn't even count. anymore. We don't do
Snapchat
that.
is off. I'm not with that
We're
chat
done
no
with
more
that.
with the picture taking.
Oh, we're on YouTube.
And we're on YouTube.
There you go. That's it.
And
And we're on tons of different podcatchers,
another driven
iTunes,
kids,
all those ones we were
all
talking
them
about
other
earlier.
things, and some new ones that he mentioned. I can't remember them all.
So thank you for
Bye
listening.
bye. Have to say my bye bye.